Hi, welcome to another live. Here I am every Monday. Every Monday I offer a free live class, and today's topic is all about negative self-talk. Now, this is a big, a big topic, and this is something that so many people struggle with. To be honest, I don't know a single human being who hasn't at some point struggled with negative self-talk. There's been a lot of dialogue there, talking about all the shame and the criticism, the judgments about what we're doing or what we're not doing, or who we are, how we look like. So negative self-talk is a very big topic. And this is something I've worked with extensively over the last 11 years with many, many different people, mainly here in Barcelona, but also in the UK, other people around the world, different countries around Europe, and also in the States. So this is something that I've heard a lot. I've experienced myself as well, and with all my clients, this has come up. This has come up in virtually every single session, every single client. There is on some level, there are beliefs, there are thoughts and beliefs about themselves, about the world, about how they see themselves, about how they see the world, about how they see others. Though what I want to talk about today is specifically about how we see ourselves, that negative self-talk. So when self-talk becomes limiting, when it becomes judgmental, when it becomes shaming, like we shame ourselves or we blame ourselves, or we're saying horrible things to ourselves, like this is very common. First of all, if you're experiencing this, you're not alone. This is very common, and there are ways to transform this. So I want to give a little snippet in today's class, but obviously this is such a huge topic. I can't say everything about it in one little live class. And also that whilst I have a lot of experience, 11 years working with this, there are also many things that I've yet to learn, I'm sure, and things that I am still learning. So what I can share is simply just from my experience and what I know that can be really helpful, what helps, what doesn't help, what can be useful and what's not so useful. And I wanted to share some of this. And we will also have a little mini guided visualization in today's session. I thought it would be really nice just as a little, like, obviously the topic negative self-talk, and like having a little experience that we can just soothe the mind and the nervous system a little bit and just bring a sense of calm and just bring a little bit of self-tenderness to ourselves. So negative self-talk, if there are any specific things that you notice coming up, I would love to hear in the comment section, like what you're noticing, like your negative self-talk, because then we can actually do some live coaching here if there are people that want to share. So you're more than welcome to share that. And if you're watching the replay, you're more than welcome to share in the comment section as well. I read every comment and I do my best to respond. So it'll be lovely to have this as an interactive class, and rather than just me teaching through the computer. So this is something that is, just really, really important to get to the point of, like, obviously people notice there's negative self-talk and then they start shaming and blaming themselves about having negative self-talk in the first place. And if we're doing that, then we're literally just continuing the cycle. So if we say, oh, I look horrible, or oh, I'm stupid, and then we're like, oh, I shouldn't say that. I should be thinking positive. And then it just continues. It's that same energy. It just continues. So what we want to do is we want to interrupt the pattern. We want to shift the vibration. We want to create a different way of relating to ourselves. And one of the most important things is to start shifting how we see negative self-talk. Now, this is the key, how we see negative self-talk. I talk about this with anxiety as well. I work with a lot of clients who feel very anxious about them, like about situations that they're in, anxious about their capabilities and social settings, feeling anxious about like going into relationships and like having body image issues come up and feeling anxious about that. There are many different ways it can come up. And with them as well, I say the same thing. It's all about how we see it. Because we can experience emotions, we can experience anxiety, we can experience negative self-talk. And if we're seeing it as this really bad, terrible thing, which, yes, of course, if we remain stuck in that and we're experiencing that all the time and we're just going around in this loop, then yeah, it's not the most beneficial or enjoyable thing to be part of. Though by shifting our perspective of it and seeing it in a different light really helps us to change the experience. Now, some of you watching may have experienced this before, this little exercise, the clock exercise. If you have, you can join in again if you want. And if you haven't, if you're new to this, you can try this. So what I want you to do is to imagine that up on the ceiling above you, there is a clock. There's just a really simple exercise that just takes a couple of seconds. So up above you, there's a clock, and this clock has all the numbers. It has the second hand. It has the hands that point to the hour as well. And that second hand is moving round clockwise. So what I'd like you to do is to point your finger up at that clock and to trace your hand around clockwise. So your hand is following that second hand as it moves around clockwise. So it's moving around clockwise. And as you do that, what I want you to do is to lower down your arm. So if you're not quite sure, you can just take a quick look at the screen and notice that my hand's still moving, but my arm's lowering down. So much so that now I can look down on my hand and just do that and notice what you observe, what's changed, what's different. And if you feel you need to try that again, feel free. Sometimes it takes a couple of goes for people. So you're going around clockwise, and then you look down on your hands. Magic. It's as if it goes round the opposite direction, anti-clockwise or counterclockwise for those in the States. So how did that happen? So when we had our hand like that, we were looking at it from this perspective. I was looking up at my hand, so I was experiencing it as clockwise. And then down here, I was experiencing it as anti-clockwise because I'm seeing it from a different perspective. This is a really, really simple exercise, and I've used this in virtually all my workshops and trainings and coaching sessions if people haven't experienced this before, because it's just a really simple reminder that how we view something shifts our experience. If I see something from one perspective and then I shift the angle, I shift the direction that I'm looking in to see that in a different way, the experience will be different. I would be seeing new things. I would be experiencing that in a different way. So I mention this because it's so important in terms of negative self-talk. So often we're told that negative self-talk is this really terrible thing that we need to get rid of and that we need to be loving to ourselves all the time. There's this huge focus on self-love, self-care, like really loving yourself. And whilst, yes, this is important, and I have certainly contributed to this over the years, like getting people to try and build up their self-love, what's important to differentiate is that it's not about loving yourself 100% all of the time, every single moment, and doing it perfectly. That's not self-love. Self-love is loving yourself totally imperfectly and messing up, and some days not loving yourself or not really feeling that love for yourself, but you simply just say to yourself, and that's okay. Just for this moment, and that's okay. And you just have these little moments where you're just like, okay, whatever is in this situation, whatever is in this moment, and that's okay. You just bring that bring that. And when you do that, you like everything just like relaxes, everything starts to soften. And what you're doing is you're interrupting that pattern of judgment and blame and shame. And you're bringing this energy of tenderness, gentle, loving presence. It's like, that's okay. I've just messed up. That's okay. Or I've just thought about myself in a negative way. Okay, that's okay. Like an inhale, exhale, release, and that's okay. And releasing that. And you're just, rather than holding on to it and giving yourself a hard time because you were doing what you think that you shouldn't be doing or what you should be doing or whatever the dialogue is, whatever the story is. And that's the thing. These are stories. The mind loves to be there with all the stories. There's a lot of chatter. The mind, all that chitter chatter, just like blah 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 all day long, and a lot of that is repeated, and a lot of that is simply an indication of what's going on within the unconscious mind. Now, this is one of the things that people forget about, and this is what can help us shift the focus. Now, if we really pay attention to the inner critic, that negative self-talk, we would gain insights. We would gain insights and realize that actually, wow, yes, this is actually coming from the inner child. This is actually coming from that deeper part within. So it's not about negative self-talk. It's not that there's just this negative voice there saying all this stuff. It's simply that the inner child is behind that. And it's simply bringing to your attention any fears, any doubts, any limiting beliefs, anything that it might have learnt in a past event when you were younger, bringing that to your attention and asking for help, asking for something. So when there's negative self-talk about body image, what could be behind that is wanting to feel loved and accepted and not feeling that. So then comes in the criticism, or if there are other judgments about other parts of ourselves, or like our skills or capabilities or who we are. Like, it's really important just to start shifting the perspective and seeing that, okay, yes, maybe the inner child is talking here. Maybe it's not negative self-talk. Maybe it's actually the inner child wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel loved, wanting to have a sense of belonging, wanting to feel significant. Any of those 6 basic human needs. There are many different drivers there, but usually most of the time it's back to those core 3 ones, like the safety, love and belonging, and significance. Those core 3 needs. So get curious when you notice negative self-talk popping up, and you notice that there's that voice that is bringing up like, oh, I should, oh, I have to, oh, I must do, oh, I this, that, and the other, or I can't, or I'm stupid, or I'm ugly, or whatever it is, like whatever's coming up. Like, just notice what's behind that. I wonder if the inner child is behind that, what is it needing? What is it needing? What is it needing? What is it believing in that moment? And how can you start reframing things and reassure your younger self within that all is okay? All is okay. I mean, obviously, it's easy to say all is okay. Like if you're going through a challenging, critical situation, yeah, there are hard experiences sometimes. Though most of the time, and for the vast majority of people, a lot of these stories and a lot of these fears are simply just within the mind. And we're living according to what the mind is saying. And as soon as we start stepping out of that and seeing negative self-talk as a reminder to cater for the needs of the inner child, and a reminder to get back to the body, to get back to the breath, to get back to the life within, to get back to living, then we start opening up this new experience and this new way of seeing the negative self-talk, that inner critic. There's so much more I can share on this, and I think I will probably do a workshop coming up on this, like blending some movement and creative arts and numerology on this topic, because it's such a huge topic, and it's something that when you dive into the experience of this, and especially within a group, then is really powerful. But even just with what I've mentioned so far, like, that can literally transform everything. If you really take it in, really reflect on it, and really start embodying that and paying attention. It's not about getting it perfect. It's simply about getting curious, paying attention, observing what comes up, and every now and again interrupting old patterns of thought. And that's okay. And that's okay. Whatever comes up, and that's okay. Come back to the breath. Or simply just saying to yourself, I'm here. I'm here. I've got you. I'm here. Just bringing a little bit of tenderness. So let's go into a guided visualization for this, and just really increase that even more, and bring a little bit more love and tenderness for ourselves. So what I encourage you to do is to get comfortable. Obviously, if you're driving, if you're traveling, then this will be something you do later on, because this is a closed eye process. So if it's safe for you to do so, I invite you to close your eyes, get comfortable. Perhaps you're lying down, perhaps you're sitting down. If you're sitting in a chair, make sure that your feet are firmly on the ground, that you can feel the ground beneath your feet. If you're sat in the chair or on the floor, if you're cross-legged, just notice the chair, notice the floor beneath you, or maybe you're lying down. Like, notice whatever you're resting against, and know that this will be there throughout the whole process, and this will provide support for you. It's almost as if you're being held. You're being held by life. So just gently close your eyes if you haven't done so already, and just take a few deep inhales and exhales, like breathing in and breathing out. And every exhale, just lengthen that, lengthen that. Every exhale, allowing your body to soften and relax. And to really come back into your body here and now. And once again, notice whatever you're resting against, like how that's holding you, like life is holding you right now. So often we're rushing about, doing things, endless tasks, work, bills, worries, stresses, all of that. And so much of that is actually being up in the head, thinking about the past or thinking about the future. So even just by bringing your attention to the breath right here, right now, and notice how you're being held right here, right now, that alone can provide so much support to soothe your nervous system, to bring some comfort and calm whenever you may need that. And what I'd love you to do now As you notice your body relaxing more and more, just imagine that you're walking through a beautiful place in nature, wherever that might be. Maybe a place that you know, and maybe a place that's completely imagined. A beautiful place that's just for you. And notice what you see. Notice the colors, notice the shapes, the light, the shadows. Notice everything in your surroundings, about how things look. And as you do that, you'll notice the sounds too. Perhaps there are sounds in this beautiful place in nature, whatever sounds those might be. Perhaps it's some friendly wildlife, some bird song, the gentle wind through the trees, or perhaps the sound of water. Noticing how wonderful it is to simply connect to nature in this way, and take a moment to notice all the wonderful information that your senses bring you. Observing how you feel in this place in nature. What sensations are you experiencing in this place? How things feel, the temperature, the texture. Perhaps there are smells and tastes. Just taking in your surrounding. This place that's just for you. A place to connect with yourself and to bring a moment of calm and ease and a little more self-love. Gentle, loving presence. And wherever you are, you take a moment with your hands or perhaps with a stick to draw a big heart in the ground. Big heart in front of you. And as you draw this big heart, you notice that within that heart is this light, this spark of light, that with every inhale and every exhale, it becomes bigger and brighter, bigger and brighter. As you observe this light, a wave of calm starts to flow through your body from the top of your head all the way to the tips of your toes. This light starts to enter and penetrate your body. The most gentle, loving light almost feels like this warm hug, warm sunshine. This light connects and reignites even brighter the light that lies within you, within your heart. You can feel that warmth flowing down your arms, down your legs, all throughout your body. This gentle, loving presence, this gentle warmth. It's almost as if this brings a sense of calm and safety. Continuing that inhale and exhale. And as you observe your surroundings in that beautiful place in nature once again, just notice what's changed. Does anything look, sound, or feel different now with this new light? And from this place, maybe in a moment, maybe now, maybe in a few hours or a couple of days, you'll start to become aware of new thoughts, new awareness about yourself and who you truly are. Because the old story was about surface level living. The old story was about surface level appearances. The old story was about surface level challenges. Yet from this deeper connection and this remembrance of this light within, the new story is something far different, something deeper, this deeper knowing that you are what animates your body, you are what animates your personality. You have a personality, you have a body, but at your core, you're something far greater. And from this level, connecting at this level, everything can transform. Things feel different, are experienced differently. You remember how powerful you are, how capable you are, how worthy you are, how loved you are. That you form part of this greater web, this web of many lights around the world. Each and every light makes up humanity. Take a moment, if you haven't done so already, to place your hand over your heart and just to notice that warmth on every inhale and every exhale, using the power of your imagination, the power of your unconscious mind. You can see that, feel that, sense that becoming bigger and bigger and brighter, creating this ripple of light out into the world. And as you notice that, just gently say to yourself, I'm here. I'm here. Reassuring yourself, bringing the sense of safety, comfort, gentle, loving presence. I'm here. Once again, noticing your surroundings and that beautiful place in nature. Knowing that you can come back to this place anytime. This place is always there for you. And gently, gently letting go of that image, letting go of that. Starting to bring your awareness once again to whatever you're resting against, whether that's chair, your feet on the ground, or you're lying down on something. Noticing how that has been holding you throughout this whole process, and it's still there. Life is still holding you. Life is always holding you. Just sometimes it feels like it's not, and that's often a sign that we're up in the head, getting caught up in the stories. And all it takes is coming back to this awareness, back to the breath, back to the light, back to the body, back to the sensations. Wriggling your toes and your fingers, gently moving and stretching a little. Noticing any sounds, sensations within the room that you're in. Bringing your awareness all the way back to here and now, and opening your eyes, coming all the way back, coming back, all the way back to here and now. Welcome back. So that's just a really simple little guided visualization to bring a sense of calm, bring a sense of ease, and just to come back to the heart. And just that simple process of simply just placing your hand over your heart and saying, I'm here, is something so simple. And those of you who have been to some of my workshops might have heard this before, and the mind might start saying, I know this, or I've tried this. But the real thing, like the real shift and the real change happens when we practice it, when we integrate things, when we embody things. And if this doesn't resonate, then by all means find something else. That's totally okay. But when we practice something, when we actually embody it and bring it into the body and really make it as part of this practice, doesn't have to be done perfectly. It doesn't have to be done every single day. And maybe there's some days we forget. But just that remembering, just coming back every now and again, coming back. I'm here. And that's okay. Whatever other loving words you want to say to yourself. I'd love to hear in the chat, in the comments section, I'd love to hear your ideas of loving words that you can say to yourself. Let's inspire one another. Every client that I've worked with is different. They come up with different words for themselves. I've had some clients that what feels good for them is saying, I've got you, or most of them use and that's okay, or I'm here, but there have been other phrases as well. So it really depends. It really depends on what feels good for you. So I'd love to hear your shares on that. And do try this. This is such a wonderful, simple exercise. And just remember that any negative self-talk is a teacher. It's a messenger. It's a reminder. Come back to the body. Listen to the inner child's needs. Remember the light within you. Remember the heart. Connect to that deeper core of who you are, rather than living from the surface and getting caught up in the stories. So I'll leave that there. And if you want more, I have those of you who are in the Barcelona area on the 15th of February, so the day after Valentine's Day, we have a wonderful, wonderful women's circle. So this is an in-person event for women, and this is a wonderful experience where we'll all come together. And the topic for this month is all about self-love, self-love, self-care, and boundaries. This is a big topic, boundaries. So we will have a wonderful evening where we can share, we can connect. There'll be some drinks and snacks and candlelight. And there'll be the opportunity to really learn from each other in community, what helps us to connect to ourselves, what helps us to love ourselves more, what helps us to be more tender with ourselves, what gets in the way of that? What's challenging? Do we find boundaries easy, setting boundaries, or do we struggle with boundaries? And there are many different areas of boundaries, like different levels of boundaries. There's physical boundaries, there's like emotional boundaries, energetic boundaries. There are many different forms of boundaries. So we'll be sharing all about that. So if you want to join us, that's 15 euros if paid in advance. If not, it's 20 euros usually. So that's on the 15th of February. And if you're not a woman and you'd like something, then I have one-on-one sessions online, and also I have another event which is on the 23rd of February, and this is a dance workshop, and this is a monthly workshop that I do every month in Villanova Geltrú, and we mix dance with numerology. So we dance the different vibration, the different energies of the numbers. And those of you who are new to numerology is based on the work of Pythagoras. Well, the version that I use is based on the work of Pythagoras. I'm sure you've heard of Pythagoras. And it's just really fascinating because we know from science, this is not some magical thinking, we know from science that everything is made up of vibrating particles, everything's made up of space and energy. And this includes numbers. So every number has its own vibration, every number has its own dance, every number has its own expression. And this is something we explore. So that's 10 euros for that session. That's on the 23rd of February, and you can reserve that in advance if you want to join us. So for any of these events, there are links in the description, and also you can send me a WhatsApp at +34 6226 986 73. So I'd love to see you there at one of these events. And if you're further afield and you're not nearby for some of these events, then I continue with these classes every week. And I'd love to hear your questions. I would love to make this more interactive. And if you have questions, if you have queries, if you have things that you want me to talk about, I'd love to hear your shares on this. So please do leave a comment in the comment section. So wishing you so much love for this week and beyond. And I will speak to you through here, through YouTube next Monday at 7 Central European Time. Much love.